All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tearing apart a classic book that totally flips the script on what it means to be wealthy in America. We're going to uncover the surprising and, honestly, kind of weird secrets of how real millionaires are actually made, all based on the amazing research in The Millionaire Next Door. So let me just start by asking you a question. When I say the word millionaire, what's the first image that pops into your head? No, seriously, picture it. Who is that person? What are they driving? Where do they live? I'm willing to bet it's something like this, right? You know, the flashy sports cars, the giant mansions, closets just overflowing with designer stuff. I mean, that's the image we see on Instagram and TV 24/7. But what if I told you that whole image is pretty much a complete myth? Okay, let's get into this, because the main idea from the book is that we have been looking at wealth all wrong. We see the high income, we see the fancy spending, and we confuse that with someone actually being rich. And this, right here, this is the absolute game changer. The book's core message is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Wealth is not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep, and, more importantly, how you grow it over time. You know, there's this great old saying that just nails this idea. Big hat, no cattle. It's for that person who looks the part, who talks the talk, who seems super impressive, but underneath it all, there's no real substance. Financially, these are the people making six figures who spend every last dime. So if income isn't the real way to keep score, what is? It's your net worth. And it's a really simple formula. You just take everything you own that has value, your investments, your house, your business, and you subtract everything you owe, your mortgage, your student loans, that credit card bill. The number you're left with, that right there is your actual wealth. So the book splits people into these two really interesting groups. On one side, you've got the PAWS. That stands for Prodigious Accumulators of Wealth. These people are absolute wizards at turning their income into real, lasting wealth. And on the other side, you've got the UAWs, the Under-Accumulators of Wealth. These folks might have huge paychecks, but they have almost nothing to show for it because they're way more focused on looking rich than being rich. And get this, the book gives us a super simple formula to see where we all stand. You just take your age, multiply it by your yearly income before taxes, and then divide the whole thing by 10. That number is basically what your net worth should be for someone your age with your income. I'll give you a second. Go ahead and do the quick math in your head. So how'd you do? The book's benchmark is pretty straightforward. If your actual net worth is double what that formula spit out, you're a PAW. You're a wealth-building machine. But if it's less than half, you're probably a UAW. It's a fascinating and maybe for some of us a kind of sobering little exercise, right? It just cuts right through all the noise. Okay, so if the goal is to become a PAW, how do you actually pull it off? Well, it's not about being a genius or getting lucky. It comes down to your behavior. The researchers found 7 specific habits that pretty much all of these real millionaires have in common. And here they are, the 7 core habits. It all starts with number 1, which is the absolute foundation of everything. Live well below your means. But it gets deeper. Look at number 2, allocate time and energy efficiently. That means they spend their weekends planning investments, not at the mall. And number 3 is huge. They prioritize financial independence over status. They would much rather have freedom than a new BMW. And then you have number 4, rejecting what the authors call economic outpatient care. Basically, they don't accept financial handouts from their parents because it just creates dependency. See, this isn't just a list of tips. It's a whole new way of life. Now, this all might sound good in theory, but the real power of this book is in the stories. This isn't just a bunch of ideas. It's based on decades of interviews with actual millionaires. And just as importantly, with the people who look like millionaires but are actually broke. Check this out, a perfect case study from the book. On the left, you've got a doctor pulling in over 400 grand a year, but his net worth? Less than 200,000. All because of the huge house, the luxury cars, you know the drill. A classic UAW. Now look to the right. A welder, a guy with a regular, modest income who saved like crazy and invested wisely and built a net worth of $5 million. He's the real deal. He is the millionaire next door. And here's another example that just hits you. The realtor making huge commissions who felt like she had to buy the expensive watch and designer bags to look successful and ended up drowning in debt. And you compare that to the quiet farmer? He inherited almost nothing, lived a simple life, just kept reinvesting his profits back into the farm, and quietly built a net worth over $3 million. One looks rich, the other is rich. So the really crucial thing to get here is that this isn't just about spreadsheets and budgets. It's a deep, fundamental shift in your entire point of view. It's about adopting a totally different mindset when it comes to money, success, and even what you value in life. You see, the millionaire mindset is all about thinking like an investor, not like a consumer. It's about valuing your freedom and your financial independence way, way more than you value social status or what other people think. It's about playing the long game, planning for decades down the road, and not getting distracted by trying to impress people you don't even like. So let's boil it all down to the key takeaways. First, you gotta spend less than you earn and save a big chunk of your income consistently. Second, avoid consumer debt like the plague. Third, focus on buying things that go up in value. We call those assets, not stuff that goes down in value. And maybe the most important rule of all, you have to change your scorecard. Stop measuring your success by your salary and start measuring it by your net worth. And that really leaves us with one last, and maybe a little uncomfortable question to ask ourselves. When you really look at your own financial habits, at your goals, at where your money is going, are you truly building long-term wealth? Or are you just building a wealthy-looking lifestyle for today? Because the answer to that question, well, it can change everything.